Good evening, everyone. We're gonna get started. At this point, we're gonna go on the record in EFSB 2302, DPU 2345. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to this hybrid public comment hearing conducted by the Energy Facilities Siting Board in docket EFSB 2302/DPU 2345, known as the A1 B2 refurbishment Warwick to Sterling Transmission Replacement Project, which I will refer to as the A1 B2 project or the project. Before we start, I want to explain how to use Zoom tonight to ensure that everyone can fully participate in the hybrid public comment hearing from the start. We have interpreters who will be translating from English to Spanish and back. To select your desired language, click on the globe icon at the bottom of your screen and select English or Spanish so that you can hear everything said today with interpretation as needed. I'll give you a moment so that you can do that. For audio only participation attendees, you can dial in at 646-558-8656. This is not a toll-free number. And then enter the webinar ID 875-0178-0143. I'll now ask that the Spanish interpreters please read that back in Spanish for the instructions.
Of course. Good evening. Buenas noches. Me gustaría darles la bienvenida a todos a esta audiencia híbrida de comentario público realizada por la Junta de Ubicación de Instalaciones Energéticas de la Mancomunidad de Massachusetts en el expediente EFSB 23-02-DPU 23-45, conocida como Renovación A1B1, proyecto de reemplazo de línea de transmisión de Warwick a Sterling, o sea, el proyecto A1B2 o proyecto. Antes de comenzar, quiero explicar cómo usar Zoom esta noche para garantizar que todos pueden participar plenamente en esta audiencia híbrida desde el principio. Contamos con intérpretes que interpretarán del inglés al español y viceversa. Para seleccionar el idioma que desee, haga clic en el icono de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla y seleccione inglés o español para que pueda escuchar todo lo que se dice hoy con interpretación. Una vez que se abran los canales de interpretación, podrán seleccionar el idioma. Para participar solo en audio, los asistentes pueden marcar al 646-558-8656, no es un número gratuito, y luego ingresar el ID, la identificación del seminario web 875-0178-0143. No, sorry.
If you would like to use the closed captions translation feature, press the button at the bottom of your screen that says Show Captions. Click the up arrow and select the language of your choice, where the menu offers the option of My Caption Language. And there are many different languages to choose from.
Please do not check the box that says Mute Original Audio. We recommend this so that you can still hear the voice of the actual speaker faintly in the background, but mostly you will hear the voice of the interpreter. Dial-in participants will hear the speaker's voice without interpretation, as Zoom does not offer interpretation for dial-in participants. However, all comments made by dial-in participants on this number will be interpreted into Spanish or English. Moving forward, my name is Connor Tarr. I am the presiding officer for the proceeding and am conducting the public comment hearing tonight. With me from the Energy Facilities Siting Board are others who will be involved in the review of this project, including Andrew Green, Director of the Siting Division, Wayne Wang, Assistant Director of the Siting Division, who is here on your way in, Tim Riley, Siting Specialist with the Siting Division, and Brian Wilmer and Nathaniel Strasberg, Siting Analysts with the Siting Division. Please let us know if you have any technical difficulties with Zoom. Call or text 857-200-0065 for assistance. We are here tonight because National Grid seeks approval from the Energy Facilities Siting Board to replace an existing transmission line, tap lines, and double circuit structures with a new overhead transmission line, tap lines, and double circuit structures in an existing transmission corridor in Warwick, Royalston, Athol, Winchton, Gardner, Westminster, Fitchburg, Leominster, and Sterling, Massachusetts. The A1B2 project seeks replacement of a transmission line between Warwick and Sterling, which operates at 69 kilovolts, with a line capable of operation at 115 kilovolts. The complete project is 61 miles long and includes a 6-mile section in Vermont/New Hampshire. For the Massachusetts part of the project, which is approximately 47 miles long, National Grid proposes to replace the lines and transmission structures that are holding up the lines, termed replacement transmission line, within the existing right-of-way. The company also proposes to replace 2 smaller transmission lines and associated structures that feed into the corridor. One is a line beginning in Athol that connects to the corridor in the neighboring Royalston, and 2, a line beginning and connecting in Gardner, termed the replacement taps. Once the replacement transmission line, replacement taps, and structures are constructed, collectively referred to as the replacement line, National Grid would remove the old lines and structures. National Grid will make a presentation tonight regarding its proposed A1B2 project and respond to questions related to its proposal. We have copies of the public notice in English and Spanish on the table in the lobby that the Siting Board directed the company to provide to residents and owners of property near the proposed project. Those notices include maps of the proposed project. In addition, the notice provides a link to a map on the company website, which allows anyone to put in an address and see the location of that address relative to the location of the proposed project. Finally, information on the project is posted to the Siting Board website, and you can find that link on the notice as well. If you are participating remotely using Zoom, you will still have a full opportunity to see and hear everything said during this hearing, and to offer comment and ask questions. For those of you accessing the meeting by phone dial-in, you too can hear everything and have an opportunity to comment or ask questions. The instructions on how to participate were provided in the public comment hearing notice, published in newspapers, in the notices sent to residents, and posted on the company and Siting Board websites, and posted in the city clerk's offices and libraries for the towns of Warwick, Royalston, Athol, Winchton, Gardner, Westminster, Fitchburg, Leominster, and Sterling. Since this is one of our first hybrid public comment hearings, we could experience some technical difficulties, such as sound from speakers, including potential background noise, video and audio issues, and potential delays. For those participating in person and those participating on Zoom or by phone, it is imperative for you to speak slowly and clearly, to allow a speaker to finish speaking before you begin speaking, and to pay attention to the video of the person speaking. I will raise my hand as a signal if I need to interrupt the person currently speaking to ask them to stop. I will briefly reiterate this guideline when we open the floor to public comment. We will be video recording this public comment hearing, and that recording will be posted to the Siting Board's YouTube channel. All comments offered at this hearing will be recorded both in the official written transcript and on the YouTube video of this hearing. Note that if you would like to see closed captions on Zoom, press the button at the bottom of the screen that says Show Captions. There are different ways in which you can participate in this proceeding, either as a full intervener with rights to ask discovery questions of the company, present witnesses, ask questions of the witnesses, testifying at the hearings, file briefs and motions, and appeal the decision of the Siting Board, or as an interested person who can receive filings made in this proceeding and file briefs to the Siting Board. In the notice of this public comment hearing, you should be aware that there is a deadline to file any request for participation as an intervener or as an interested person. That deadline is Friday, April 26th, 2024. It is also the deadline to provide written comments to the Siting Board as outlined in the notice of the public comment hearing. We would encourage anyone who does seek to participate and review the material that we provided in the Siting Board Handbook. Copies of that information are available at the back of the room tonight and are available on the Siting Board website. The link to the Siting Board website and the Siting Board webpage for this proposed project is provided in the written notice. If you have any questions related to these materials, please send your contact information to my email at Connor, CONNOR, tar, TARR, @mass.gov. This public comment hearing will begin with a presentation by National Grid. National Grid has counsel and company representatives who are participating in this public comment hearing. May I have appearances of counsel? And make sure you please speak at the podium or take the microphone.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Catherine Cuthan. I'm appearing on behalf of National Grid in this proceeding from the law firm of Keegan Borland in Boston. Also appearing on behalf of National Grid is David Waterfall.
Hi, David Waterfall, counsel for National Grid.
And lastly, also appearing on behalf of National Grid is Cheryl Blaine, also from the law firm of Keegan Borland. Thank you.
Thank you. I would note that the company has provided a certification that the notice for this public comment hearing has been provided consistent with the terms required by the Siting Board. Would the company like to begin with its presentation regarding the proposed A1B2 project? After that presentation, we will open the floor for comments and questions from the public. Yes, please.
Can you get the deck up, please? Thank you. Hi, my name is Jeremy Sherman from National Grid. I'm the project manager. There we go. That's a little better. Yes, sir. I'm okay. This right here is the Warwick Sterling project, which is part of the A1B2 ACR project. Now you're at the Mass Energy Facilities Siting Board, public comment hearings in Fitchburg. Thank you. The Warwick Sterling project is the Massachusetts portion of the A1 of National Grid's A1B2 project. You can see on the map there, you can see you have the Massachusetts portion as well as the New Hampshire and Vermont. A1B2 project encompasses the complete rebuild of the main portion of National Grid's A1B2 69 kV transmission lines and includes 2 tap lines. The Warwick Sterling portion of the project stretches from the Hampshire border in Warwick, Massachusetts to our Pratt Junction substation in Sterling, Mass. It includes tap lines in Royalston, Athol, and Gardner. Thank you. The project schedule, we have started stakeholder outreach in fall 2020, and that is ongoing. We have mail notifications, we have a website, local meetings, and more. Field assessments are also started and ongoing. That includes construction reviews, environmental field work, land survey, access reviews, cultural resource testing, and soil borings. Vegetation management is also complete for the soil borings, and that was started in winter 2021 and completed in fall 2022. And prior to construction, there'll be more vegetation management, which will start in fall 2025. Permitting is ongoing as well. That's 2022 to 2025, which includes federal, state, and local reviews. We'll show a list of permits shortly. Construction and restoration is 2025 to 2030. Locations of construction will be communicated prior to commencement of the construction activities. Thanks. This right here is a list, a comprehensive list of the permitting. I'll give folks a minute to read it. High level, they're filed in May, the EFSB, which we're here for tonight, was filed in May 1st, 2023. For other permits, we have the MEPA, MESA, Army Corps, EPA NIPDES, Department of Environmental Protection and Wetland Protection Act, as well as other state and local permits, such as Department of Conservation, Mass Department of Transportation, and other municipal permitting as required. Thank you. There is a video that will show as well. Please note that the construction dates in the video are not correct. The dates are 2025 to 2030. Thank you.
National Grid Operating Company, known as New England Power Company, is planning the New England A1-B2 transmission line asset condition refurbishment project, which is located within the existing transmission right-of-way in the municipalities of Vernon, Vermont, Hinsdale and Winchester, New Hampshire, and Warwick, Royalston, Winchendon, Gardner, Westminster, Fitchburg, Leominster, and Sterling, Massachusetts. This project also includes the Athol Tap from Royalston Substation to Chestnut Hill Avenue Substation in Athol, Massachusetts, and the Crystal Lake Taps from Gardner Switching Station to Crystal Lake Substation in Gardner, Massachusetts. The project covers approximately 61 miles. Constructed in 1909 using horse and carriages, the A1-B2 line is National Grid's oldest transmission line. The project scope includes replacing the existing structures, installation of new structure foundations, new conductor and shield wire, and right-of-way access improvements where necessary. The deteriorating 69 kilovolt line will be rebuilt to 115 kilovolt design standards to accommodate future capacity requirements, but will continue to operate at 69 kilovolts for the foreseeable future. The proposed new structures will be taller than the existing structures, which will allow for a reduction in structures in some areas along the right-of-way. Structure placement will vary at different locations along the project right-of-way. To account for specific needs, the mainline structures and the tap structures will have different designs. Existing mainline steel lattice structures are proposed to be replaced with double circuit structures. Existing Crystal Lake Tap single-circuit wood structures are proposed to be replaced by steel single-circuit davit arm structures. The existing Athol Tap wood H-frame single-circuit structures are proposed to be replaced by steel single-circuit davit arm structures. New structures will be built along the same center line as existing structures. Existing structures will be removed after the new lines are placed in service. There are no planned customer outages during the construction of the project. When preparing for construction, crew members conduct field activities including, but not limited to, wetland delineations, land survey staking, and soil borings. Next, vegetation management is conducted to clear the right-of-way and access roads. Then, access roads are established and/or improved. Matting is then placed in select locations to assist equipment when traveling, as well as providing protection to the ground below. There will be two types of structure installations, direct embed and self-supporting. To install the direct embed structures on the main line, crews will excavate a hole where a steel culvert will be placed. Following this, a steel pole will be placed in the culvert and backfilled with stone. The new poles will be constructed on site and built vertically. Self-supporting structures will be installed by drilling a large subsurface temporary casing shaft. The permanent casing will then be installed within the temporary casing. This is followed by the installation of tied rebar and anchor bolt clusters. Once these are completed, concrete is poured into the permanent casing, and backfill is placed to fill the space left behind with the removal of the temporary casing. The new structure is then bolted to the foundation, and grading is done around the structure base. Once the new structures are in place, new conductor is installed, and shield wire is replaced. Following this, the existing and temporary structures are removed. Once construction is complete, the right-of-way is restored. Construction is anticipated to take place from 2024 to 2028, subject to change. Crews will not be working on the entire line at the same time. They will work their way along the line, so landowners may see crews come and go. Our stakeholder management team is committed to keeping you up to date and informed on the A1B2 ACR project. We are continuing to coordinate meetings with towns' boards of selectmen and hosting public open houses for residents to learn more and provide feedback. Please reach out to us with any questions or concerns by calling our project phone number at 1-844-500-3536 or emailing us at info@newengland.a1b2.com. Visit our website for more information and project updates at newengland.a1b2.com.
Thank you. And just one more time, the construction dates are 2025 to 2030. There is one more slide that just shows the contact information. If we could show that, please. Thank you.
While he's pulling that up, I'll just note that the stream on the Zoom was more of a clear video. It wasn't choppy on the Zoom call. It was only choppy in person. So progress. Right here is our contact information. Please reach out to our public outreach team, who we have a few in the house today. There's a dedicated hotline, an email, and a website. Thank you, and we look forward to conversation on this project. Thank you. Next, we will proceed with public comments regarding the project. We will begin with federal, state, and local officials appointed, as well as elected officials who wish to be heard. Then we will proceed with the members of the public who have signed up to speak in the order in which they have signed up. Finally, we will allow anyone who wishes to speak who did not have a chance to let us know in advance to speak here today. When called to speak, if you are participating remotely, we will move you into the Zoom panel so that you can be seen and heard by the Zoom audience as well as those here in the room. Please give your name and address, spell your name, and speak slowly and clearly. Again, please stop speaking if you see me raise my hand. If a company response to your comment or question asked is appropriate, I will ask the company to respond. Okay, we are now ready to hear comments. Please identify yourself, giving your name and the office that you hold for the record. Do we have any federal officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment?
If so, please raise your hand from Zoom at the bottom of the screen. None.
Are there any state officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand if so. Seeing and hearing no hands raised, are there any local officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand now. Seeing and hearing no hands raised, we'll proceed forward with the public comment. Next, we'll take comments from members of the general public, beginning with those who have pre-registered with the siting board. When called, please give your name, spell your last name, and then give your address. After we have called upon the speakers who have already registered, we will call upon others who have signed up on the speaker sheet in the lobby as they came in the order in which they signed up. After that, we'll take any remaining members of the public who wish to speak. I would like to call upon Mr. Vonner to start. Again, please spell your last name for the stenographer and give your address for the record.
He's coming to the panel.
He is appearing via Zoom, so.
Mr. Vonner, if you could turn on your microphone and your camera when you enter the panel. We don't see you yet.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we don't see you though. Is your camera off?
Yeah, I'm sorry, one second. I don't know what happened. I was just, let me see here. There we go. Sorry for the light. Hold on one second. All right, can you see me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
My name is Richard Vonner. I'm at 29 Crabtree Lane in Leominster, Mass.
Mr. Vonner, just spell your last name for the record.
It's V as in Victor, Oner.
Thank you.
I had two pre-registered questions. Let me see here. My first question was about, there is a right-of-way access on my land. My whole backyard is under an easement for the New England Power Company. And my question was if this project takes place, are they gonna be needing that access, or is that easement gonna stay on my land? Or will that be removed? Is there an expiration date on something like that? That was my first question.
You want to respond? Mr. Vonner, we do have someone here from the company who's going to respond.
Hi, Mr. Vonner. It's Jeremy Sherman from National Grid. I'm the project manager.
How you doing?
Does anyone on the team know, we're going to pull up your address right quick on our map and just take a look at that and see if we can help you with your questions.
All right.
Catherine Cuthan on behalf of National Grid. I suggest that perhaps we take Mr. Vonner's information and provide a response to him with regard to his easement rather than do so as part of this proceeding.
Okay.
To the extent we can, but we don't have his easement agreement in front of us, so we can identify his property, but we can't really speak to his easement rights or to the company's easement rights on his property.
Thank you. Mr. Vonner, just so that we're clear, the company is indicating that their response would be limited based on resources available at this time, and additional follow-up would be needed regardless of their response. So
That's fine.
they'll provide a limited response at this time, and then I do encourage you to follow up with them after the meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. What contact information would I need to go ahead and follow up with them?
I have your email. I'll provide that to them after the meeting for direct contact.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Farrell, Farrell. I am National Grid's transmission line engineer on the project. So with respect to the existing easement, we're continuing to use it as it is today. There's no proposed expansion or anything like that. And with respect to the access to the various structures in and around Crabtree Lane, we're approaching the right of way from this Willard Street and not accessing through Crabtree Lane to get to the right of way.
Right. So that was actually my question as well. Is there is a corridor off of Willard Street, access right away access to the power lines and all that. That's why I wasn't sure. I mean, I just bought my property back to 2022, and most of the backyard was under a right of way easement for the New England Power Company, and I was confused by that because they have all that access off of Willard Street, as you just mentioned. So I didn't know why it was necessary to have my whole backyard under easement, makes my title unclean kind of in a way. I mean, even part of the house was actually under the easement at one point. So I just wanted to find out the why it was necessary to have that there like that.
I can't speak to the specifics regarding the easement directly over your parcel. I can say that we're not looking to alter any of our existing rights as part of the project, but we can definitely follow up with you on the details related to the real estate piece on that.
All right, I appreciate that.
I think I'd just ask if you could expound on what the purpose of the easement in general is, as far as from National Grid's perspective?
Right. So the purpose of the easement over the property, in this particular location, we have the existing A1 and B2 lines along with two other transmission lines, the 115 kV I-135 and J-136 lines. And the width of the corridor is necessary to make sure that we can operate and maintain our existing transmission system reliably, and within conformance with various codes with respect to conductor clearances, vegetation management, and be able to operate and maintain our facilities. So that's why the rights are what they are and at the width that they are at.
Thank you. Mr. Bonner, I think you had a second question that related to health. Is that
I
correct?
did. I was just curious on, I mean, I, I read a little bit about the new power lines and I wasn't sure exactly if they're double the, they can hold double the power or they emit double the power. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I was just wondering if they're double as strong or whatever it may be, are they safe to live around? Is there any data that shows they've been used and they're safe, for children to live around or, anyone for that reason?
And we'll have someone from the company address the modifications to the current line.
Sure. As far as, you are correct, we are upgrading from a current 69 kV to 115 kV. When we put them in service, they will not be at 115 kV. They will be still at 69. They do have, the capacity to increase. As far as, I don't know how far your house is, location wise. I do want to see that map that we were alluding to. Jess, I don't know if you have any thoughts on, generally, we do have an EMF. If you want to hear about EMFs, we do have a representative here for EMFs. Can tell you, on that.
Okay, was that an electromagnetic field? Is that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would you like to speak, please?
Hello, my name is Jiayang Chen. Last name is Chien, and I work for Gradient, who I help prepare the EMF report for this project. In terms, we conducted a modeling exercise to determine what the EMF levels would be at the edge of the right-of-ways. And while I cannot speak specifically to your property, in general, our findings were that after the project has been completed, the edge of right-of-way levels would be generally pretty similar to what they are currently. So there were not, and I also want to emphasize that in terms of the levels that are being generated by these structures, they drop off very, very rapidly as you get away laterally from the distance of the structures. So it would not be something that necessarily would, sorry, it would not necessarily be something that you would detect at away from the edge of the right-of-ways.
Okay. But it's just a little concerning because from my previous question, I mean, my whole backyard is a right of way. So if you could, we're judging off of bringing it right up to the edge of that. I mean, that would pretty much my half of my property is pretty much in that range of, I don't know, is it dangerous within that range or is it more exposure? Is that just what it is, more exposure?
In terms of what we have modeled for the project lines, all of the magnetic fields that would result from the project are very well below some of the health-related guidelines. So just to put this into perspective, the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, or ICNIRP, has a guideline for exposure for the general public of 2,000 milligauss. And then what we have modeled, even within the right-of-ways are no more than 25 milligauss. So many orders of magnitude below that.
Okay, and how many years have these lines been being used? Is it data to back up the fact that they're not dangerous or to live within the vicinity of them?
I can say that, you know, in terms of the epidemiological studies, this has been studied for well over 4 decades. And even prominent international scientific health and safety organizations have not found that there has been a link between these very low electromagnetic field frequencies and health effects. In terms of how long these particular lines have been used, I will defer to the company.
Okay.
I'd also ask if the company could indicate the current age of the present lines versus the new lines, and just
Yeah.
as a distinction for. Mr.
Yes,
Vaughn.
so these, as stated in the video, these lines are some of the first, if not the first, in Massachusetts, from 1909. So, well over 100 years, these lines have been in service. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Is there anything else we can answer for you today, Mr. Bodner?
No, that was really my two main concerns. If I could just get a little bit more in depth on that that easement, if they can get back to me on that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, we'll get back to you on the easement. We do have his contact information, correct? The email?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Thank you.
Mr. Bonner, do you have any additional questions for any member of the company or any additional comments regarding the line?
No, that's it.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for appearing tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we did have 2 other individuals who had pre-signed up and pre-registered for tonight. First is Malcolm Williams. Mr. Williams. I do not see Mr. Williams present in person or as a attendee on the Zoom list. So we're going to move on to the next pre-registered, Miss Peggy Williams. I also do not see Miss Williams present in person or on the attendees list. So we are going to move on, I believe, to Mr. McGee. Come on down. Come up to the podium, just spell your last name for the record, as well as your address.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt McGee. I live I'm at 16 Roper Road, Westminster. The property that the easement goes through is 20 Roper Road in Westminster.
Can you just spell your last name?
My last name is spelled McGee, McGee. I just have a couple of questions for the sitting, I guess it's for the sitting board mostly. If kind of, I know you decided whether or not this project is going to get approved or not. My wife and I have a 250-year-old farmstead. We use the property that's got the easement for it for hay fields and grazing cows. And we've worked with National Grid over the past few years, put gates in with locks. We've had great experiences with working with National Grid, with their engineering department and so forth. But we've struggled with communication with the subcontractors, and that's where I'm most concerned. And I just wanted to bring up a couple of specific instances that happened over the past 2 years. Once people were on site, it wasn't a problem. But the fact that it happened, it was a problem. The first instance, I don't know if there's a way to build into the specs to notify the neighbors or the property owners when the work's going to be performed. There could be reasons. I mean, the way the easement's written, I think the one on my farm is from the 1930s. There's old wood structures that are in the ground in the woods with old structures that are laying that were never removed. Maybe, I mean, from the first set. But what happened, over the past couple of years, 2 winters ago, they came in, and there was a subcontractor crew that came down out of Canada just to clear trees, which is innocent enough, but I didn't realize it was going on until I went up. I smelled smoke. I went up into the woods and there were, I think about 4 or 5 different fire locations on my property. It was so cold that winter when they were clearing. The Canadian crew was just lighting up fires and just to stay warm. I didn't realize they were up there. So I called my fire department to find out what the heck is going on. And they said they called the state fire marshal, said that is absolutely unacceptable, that is illegal to be setting fires of private property. I didn't even know they were up there. So I was really glad that I just happened to go up to check on my own property. The second instance that happened was last summer. There was a crew. The engineering department asked me to put on the gates. They provided me a lock to lock the gates on the fields when we're grazing beef cows out in the field. They asked me to put a sign up that said, cattle in field, please keep gate closed. There was a crew up there painting and everything was wide open. Well, luckily there was a field full of hay and the cows didn't go wandering, but I would have appreciated a phone call because I quite frankly would have just moved them out of the way easily enough. And I know they need access through there for emergencies, but so I really feel like that it's very important to have, if this project is approved, something written in the specifications that the neighbors are notified when they're going to be there. Mine are just minor things, but they could have been major. And so that's all that I wanted to add.
I will note, Mr. McGee, that it is within the purview of the siting board as part of its final decision that we can put restrictions and recommendations as far as conditions on the project to move forward. I do know that this has been addressed at other public comment hearings, and I think that there may be some specifics that the company may want to address as far as the issues that you alluded to, only because they've been alluded to at other public comment hearings and specifically addressed already. So I'm going to let them respond if they want to do so. Sure. Thanks. Only because subcontractors has come up before.
Thank you for that information, Mr. McGee. We definitely strive to be great neighbors, and you're familiar with this property. No, we'll take down your address and we'll make sure that we communicate to you before this project. We'll do our and there might be others. I don't know, Jason, you may have crews in there once in a while doing routine clearing. I'll try to relay the message to other teams, but for this project in particular, it'll be, we'll be reaching out to you and alerting you before we come and work in your area.
Could you, just for everyone's information, could you just allude to any abutters to the project as it moves along? Will there be notice provided?
Yes.
As far as where you are?
Yes. As was stated in the in the slide deck, as we move forward, as we go along this job, we'll be alerting the folks prior to commencing work in their area.
Thank you.
If I could just follow up on Mr. McGee's question, because I'm actually interested in this, and we will have evidentiary hearings following tonight's hearing, but I am interested in hearing from the company as to how instructions are relayed to your subcontractors. So the kinds of situations that Mr. McGee was describing, somewhat worrisome in terms of the fire situation. How does the company ensure that its contractors are doing their jobs properly, following all of the guidelines and protocols that the company has delineated? What generally, what is the approach here? I assume that's something that should not be happening. And obviously it was not part of this project, but we don't want to, hear Mr. McGee come back next time and tell us it happened again.
Yes. For our projects, we'll start the job off with a construction kickoff, and we'll talk about the concerns, and some of those concerns are abutter related. In this instance, we do have a specific complaint that you have made, so we'll make sure that is part of the construction kickoff. Construction kickoff will be attended by the foreman and the contractors, and we will relay to them that this is not acceptable behavior and what we expect from them. it is troubling for us to hear that. We wouldn't expect that to happen. At the same time, we will make sure we communicate and ensure that doesn't happen again. Both during the both during the construction kickoff, as well as during the project. And if anything comes up, do not hesitate to let me know, and I'll investigate it personally and make sure it does not happen again. This, like I said, our goal is to be great neighbors.
One other follow-up question, again, borrowing on Mr. McGee's comments. How does the company communicate to abutters as the project is being built that their property is going to be in the construction activities of the coming days or weeks, and any coordination that's needed with the property owners to make sure that gates are closed, structures are properly protected and so forth?
Yep. My name is Bethany Rocha. I'm part of the public outreach team. So for
Could you spell your
construction,
last name? Spell it.
ROCHA. Sorry. So prior to construction, we do send notifications, and for this project specifically, we will send notifications out to deliberate areas. We do weigh heavily on feedback from the public of when they want to be notified, specifically if we're going to their property. When we use access on their property, we usually, call, door knock, or send a letter. And for your specific property, we are more than happy to do that. And for your street, we can definitely do that. Did I miss a part of your question?
No, I think that covers it. Thank
Okay.
you.
We will also be posting project updates on the website as well. So as we move along, we'll have some updates up there.
And a link to that's in the notice if you got a copy of it on your way in. All right. Are there any other individuals present who would like to make a statement, comment, or provide any additional input regarding the A1, B2 project? Or on Zoom? Seeing and hearing no response, I'd like to thank everyone for participating. I would like to remind you that comments and requests for participation are due by Friday, April 26th, 2024. We welcome your input and questions. That information is extremely valuable in our review of the proposed project. If you have access to email and have questions related to tonight's hearing, or want a clarification of the Siting Board's review of this case or anything else related to this hearing, please email me at Connor, CONNOR, tar, TARR, @mass.gov. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation tonight and for the comments and questions that you have offered regarding National Grid's proposed project. Thank you. This will conclude the third public comment hearing, and at this time we will go off the record. Thank you. Well done. Dang, right?